Hello there, college algebra class. I'm doing the chapter 3.1 and 3.2 quiz review problems. I'm going to send it to your phones and put it on my eChalk. And I'm going to email you the YouTube video as well. So here's how it goes. The first problem is to simplify this complex number. It's a quotient. So in order to do that, what I need to do is multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the denominator, which is 2 plus 7i. Now, after I'm finished with that, I have to multiply the numerator, and I get 18 plus 63i plus 4i plus 14i squared. And then I'm going to multiply the denominators, and I end up with 4 minus 49i squared because the middle terms drop out. So now I think I'm going to combine these two terms, and I'm going to combine these two terms. So I end up with 18 minus 14 plus 67 times I. So in the denominator I end up with 4 plus 49. So that ultimately gives me 4 plus 67i in the numerator and 53 in the denominator. So that has to be written in complex form. So it's 4 over 53 plus 67 over 53 times I. And that's what I end up with for the first review type problem. The second one is to find the vertex. So I'm going to write P of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. That'll be vertex form. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to remove this 5 and bring it over. So I'm going to isolate the variable terms. So I have P of x is equal to 2x squared minus 4x, and I'm going to subtract the 5 actually from the P of x. Okay, so now I have P of x down here. I have P of x minus 5 is equal to 2x squared minus 4x. Now I've got to get a variable term of, I've got to get a lead coefficient of 1 here, lead coefficient of 1. So what I have to do then is write this as P of x minus 5 on the left equals x squared minus 4x minus 2x on the right, actually 2x squared plus 4x on the right, but I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get rid of this coefficient of 2. I need a 1 there, so I have to divide this side by 2. Now, that gives me P of x over 2 on the left minus 5 over 2 on the left, and on the right-hand side of the equal sign, I have x squared minus 2x. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this down here. I have P of x over 2 minus 5 over 2 equals x squared minus 2x. Now I'm going to add that 1, see? Half of the middle term squared, which is plus 1. Now, I have to add it over here too to keep my equation balanced. And what I need to do next then is get P of x divided by 2 on the left. Now, negative 5 over halves plus 1 halves is going to give me negative minus, well, let's figure it out. It's going to give me minus 3 over 2, isn't it? So, because I take 2.5 and I add 1 to it, negative 2.5, and I add 1 to it, gives me 1.5. Okay, so this is equal to x minus 2, or x minus 1 squared. There's my perfect square I created, x minus 1 squared. Okay, so now I have to solve for this P of x right here. I get P of x over 2 is equal to x minus 1 squared plus 3 over 2. And I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So I end up with P of x is equal to 2 times x minus 1 squared plus 3. All right, so that's my vertex form. So I end up with 1, 3 as a vertex. All right, well, that's not easy, but it's might require a little bit of practice, but there's an extra practice. So if you check your email or you're on your cell phone with your text messages, you might have to see this video, okay? So that's the answer to the second review problem. the third review problem is I over 23. Okay, so we have to multiply. What we have to do with this one is take care of this I to the 23rd power. So we're going to take 23 divided by 4, and we get 5 here, and that is 20, and we get 3. Now the 3 is the remainder. That's what we want to focus on. I to the 23 is the same as I cubed. Now we need to figure out what I cubed was. Well, I cubed is equal to I squared times I, which is negative I. Okay, so this becomes 1 over negative I. Now we don't like that negative I, so we're going to multiply by its conjugate, which is I. Now, 1 over negative I happens to be the same as negative I, but you're going to see that. So in the numerator here, the conjugate of negative I is I, and in the numerator I end up with I. And in the denominator I end up with negative I squared. Okay, so this is equal to I over negative 1, okay, which is I. So I to the 1 over I to the 23 is equal to I. Fun, fun, fun. All right, the last review problem is this, and again, we're going to get this into vertex form. We're going to practice getting this into vertex form. Okay, so we need y equals negative x squared plus 2x minus 1 in vertex form. We're going to isolate the variable term. So we have y minus 1 equals negative x squared plus 2x. Now we're going to divide everything by negative 1. So we're going to divide everything by negative 1 or multiply. It doesn't matter. I'll go ahead and multiply by negative 1. Okay, and I'm going to multiply this one by negative 1 here. Okay, so I end up with negative 1 times y plus 1 equals x squared minus 2x. Now, if we complete this square again, and we create a square, we end up with plus 1 again. So I have negative 1y here plus 1 equals x minus 1 squared. Well, I forgot to add the 1. I guess I should do that. Plus 1 here. Now, if I add the 1 here, I've got to add it here. So now back to what we're getting at here. We're getting at this negative 1y plus 2 now equals x minus 1 squared. All right, so now we got to solve for this function. We got to isolate the function, isolate y. Negative 1y equals x minus 1 squared, all right, minus 2 if we subtract that 2. Divide everything by negative 1. Divide everything by negative 1. We have y is equal to negative x minus 1 squared plus 2. Done. We've got it in vertex form. Now, this video is already 8 minutes long, so I'm not going to graph this. Look in your notes. Okay, can you graph it? All right, study up. Have a great night.